Hi, I'm Anya, and I'm answering young people's questions about money. And the next question I'm going to talk about is credit cards. What is the best way to be responsible with credit? Should young people be getting credit cards? What did I do with my credit cards? So I'm going to start by showing you my wallet and a little bit about how I've used credit over the years and some of the mistakes that I've made, and hopefully we can learn from that. So at this point in time, I actually only have one credit card. It's a Yale Visa from Chase Bank, and it's one of the first ones that they sent me. It's got a loyalty, a little bit of a lower rate because of the association with Yale alumni, and that is what I use when I need a credit card. Now, when I need to buy something over the internet for other reasons, or for most of my daily expenses, I use my debit card, which comes from Citibank, so I have a MasterCard and a Visa. So how I got started with credit. I did not have a credit card when I was in college. I figured since I didn't have actually any income or not much coming in, I had one tiny part-time job, that I didn't need to have credit. I used my debit card from my credit union account when I needed to buy things online like plane tickets or like concert tickets or something like that. And so the consequence of that was when I graduated, I actually couldn't get a credit card because when you're in college, you have the ability to access student credit cards. But when you're out of college, I just was an average person with almost no income as a freelancer, and so it was really hard for me to get a card. And I applied to so many different cards, in fact, that it dinged my credit score, because when you send in a lot of applications at once, they presume that you're trying to run a scam or get a lot of credit somehow, and they barred me from applying for more credit for 6 months. And so it took over a year before I was finally able to get a card, and my first credit card was a Capital One Visa with all kinds of crazy fees and a $300 limit. So I got out of that eventually. I worked my way up. I improved my credit score again. But that sort of experience really led me to where I am today, which is being very, very conservative with credit cards and not wanting to apply to a lot of credit cards. And that's why I only have the one today. And it's been fine for me. I don't need to spend a lot of money on credit cards. And actually, I find it easier because I only have one bill to keep track of. So what would I recommend for you? Well, based on my experience and what I read, I think it's really important that you do get at least one credit card while you're a student to start building that credit history and make it easier for yourself later. You are going to need a good credit score, and a credit score is based on your credit history. Your credit history is based on your record of making on-time complete payments. And so what's the best way to do that? Well, when you get a credit card today, thanks to some changes that have been made in the legislation, you do need to get a cosigner. So the cosigner is going to be a parent or someone else with an income that's willing to lend you their good name and assume the responsibility for you when you start to get your own credit, and help you then go out on your own. So if you have someone willing to serve as a cosigner for you, that's great. If not, you might need to look into a secured stored value card or a secured credit card or some other kind of way to get the training wheels on a little bit before you can get a real credit card. And then once you get that credit card, what do you do with it? Well, the most important thing, as I said, is the reason that you have this card. Why do you have this card? It's not so that you can have fun play money to spend. It's not so you can go to Ibiza on spring break. The point of a credit card is to build a credit history and get a good credit score so you can be eligible for a good mortgage later, for an auto loan, to get pay less money when you have to borrow. Oh, and of course for the actual real emergencies. I'm not talking about an emergency like, everybody's going to Jay-Z and I don't have money, so I'm putting it on my credit card. I'm talking about a real emergency. That's why you have a credit card, to get you out of trouble when you're lost. You lost your passport in a foreign country, something like that. So what I recommend with the card is that you have a very specific regular expense that you spend on the credit card. You can't just have a credit card. If you want to build up a credit history, you have to use the card. So, it could be something like your plane tickets home. It could be your books in the bookstore. Just something that's a regular set amount that you pay off. Something that's a regular set amount that you pay for every single month, and then you pay it off, right? So the thing to do there is to set up an automatic payment in full. directly from your checking account to your credit card, and just pay it off every month. You don't have to think about it. You're never going to be late. You don't have to put money in an envelope or remember to send that, balance over there. Just put it in automatically. And then you'll have your card paid off in full every month, and that's what I do. So I never have to have a late fee or an overdraft fee. And that's what I do every month. So I never have to have a late fee or an overdraft fee. And this is really, really important because a credit card, what they love to do is if you make any kind of little mistake, they love to raise up your interest rates, right? So you might start and you get that wonderful 0% rate. Then while you're not noticing, they're inching it back up to maybe 15%, $14.99 APR. And then if you make any kind of mistake, like you're late with a payment, they love to flip that over into a punitive rate, which could be 27% or 29%. Now, thanks to the CARD Act, which was passed in 2009, there's better disclosures and forms that are easier to read. And the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, whom I love, they're setting up ways to make credit card statements easier to read, but they're still pretty difficult. And so the way to avoid any kind of trouble is simply to set up your card, pay a regular, predictable, small expense on it, and pay that off in full every month with an automatic transfer. Now, I hear you guys saying, I can't do that. I pay, more money on my credit card, and I know that there are a lot of people out there. I've heard the statistics that up to 25% of students are actually putting their tuition directly on their credit card. People are using credit cards to fill in the gaps, and that's really unfortunate. But what I would like you to do if you're finding that you're getting in trouble with the credit card is you really need to look at different areas of your budget and start to dedicate yourself to pay that money back, because there's no better investment than you can make than paying off credit card debt. Credit card debt, when you pay it off, that's a guaranteed return on your money of whatever that interest rate is. So rather than spending the money and giving it to them for a 10% or 14% or 27% interest rate, you get that back in your pocket essentially when you pay off the credit card debt. So we're going to talk in the next section about budgeting and spending, but the take home that I want you to have is credit cards, have one, be sparing with it, get it early, pay a small amount, and pay it off automatically with a transfer every month. Okay, great.